So the WWE has been cooking with gas lately, and SmackDown just threw like 3 more burgers on the grill. So let's just get going. If you stay to the end, I'll give Max a treat. That's the deal. Show kicks off with Nick Aldis bringing out Cody Rhodes. Nick Aldis tells Cody, hey, I know you want to be an active champion. You want to be defending this thing. And you know what? I got you. Let's bring out your next challenger, Logan Paul. Logan Paul walks out with his US title, in case you forgot that he also has a title, makes his way to the ring. They do their typical jabs back and forth, but the end of it really just comes down to, at King of the Ring, a King and Queen of the Ring, we will be getting a champion versus champion match between Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes, and it is very clear from what they both said that both titles are going to be on the line. So this means there's only 2 outcomes here, 2 real like generic outcomes. We are either going to have another double champion, or, and this is my guess, I'm calling this early, Logan Paul loses via DQ. That's what I think is going to happen. The only reason I'm giving that prediction right out of the gate is because I am someone who is not a huge fan of double champions. I'm not looking forward to this ending properly in either direction. I don't want to see Cody have 2 titles. You know, it would make him a Grand Slam champion, I guess, but that's cool. Good for him. And I definitely don't want to see Cody lose his title and Logan have 2 titles. Although the more I think about it, I feel like Logan would kind of be an entertaining 2-title person, but he's not active enough. So no, I take it back. I take it back. So I think this is going to be very simple. I don't usually put predictions into these little recaps, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I think Logan is going to get caught with brass knuckles, and it's going to DQ, giving Cody the win, and none of the titles move. That's what I think is going to happen, and that's kind of what I hope happens, because I don't want to see either one of them hold 2 titles. I like the titles to be out and about, and just I don't want it. So let's just stick with that prediction. By the way, we did get another creepy QR code. It's very similar to the ones we've been getting recently. If you want to decipher it and maybe put what you think of it in the comments below, I will put in the description a link to where the QR code took, so you don't got to find it online, and you can go and watch the video that they posted for it. By the way, in case you didn't know, we watch old matches together on my Patreon. So if you want to see me react to some old classic matches that I've never seen before that you guys suggest, the link is down in the description below. There is a free one over there. You can watch me watch Shawn Michaels and Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 for the first time for totally free. And then if you like that and you want to see more, you can choose to be a paid sub and you can see the rest of it together. But back to the video. The next match we had was Nia versus Naomi. This one, I feel like, had some issues. I root for both. I think both are very entertaining. I really have been liking Nia as a heel more and more as we've been getting into this. Problem was, if you watch the match, it looks like Naomi was pretty heavily distracted in the match with a bit of a wardrobe malfunction. She was constantly having to hold up her top to the point where it was actually stopping her from doing things, and she was just holding it up. And I don't know if that maybe ended the match quicker and they realized they had to go. Fox was cutting the broadcast and cutting the screen to black a few times to prevent unwanted, revealing on TV. And then Nia Jax ends up getting the win, which I'm totally cool with. That's going to set up for another match that we'll talk about in a little bit here. But it is a little bit sad that the wardrobe issues seem to take away from what she was able to do in the match. So that one kind of got messed up. Next up, we had Baron Corbin and Carmelo Hayes come back up from NXT, getting a match against each other. It was a pretty solid match. Nothing really crazy stuck out. Nothing really crazy stood out to me except for the ending. Baron was about to hit his finisher. I believe it's called the End of Days. And it was a really cool, it could have been even cooler, but maybe that's what they were going for. But it was a cool transition from End of Days into Carmelo Hayes turning it into like a roll-up pin for the victory. So that was pretty cool. It's nice to see Baron Corbin not get a 6-second squash match against him for the first time, at least since I've been watching. I've heard great things about Baron Corbin, that he's had a really good NXT run. So I'm hoping I get to see that a little bit more going forward. But Carmelo Hayes with the victory, going to move on in the tournament. Randy Orton got a promo backstage, and it was pretty default. It was kind of normal with him and AJ Styles. But then he turned back around and he's like, by the way, one more thing. And this is the first time I've seen an angry Randy Orton. So I'm looking forward to more of this. He was pissed at, I believe it was Tongaloa, for interfering in their match and beating up on Kevin Owens. And that's the first time I've seen that side of Randy. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that whole thing goes. Next up, we got Jade versus Piper. Love this one. This match was fantastic. I like Piper. I like Jade. I love them both. I really think they both kind of showed their strengths and what they were capable of doing. Jade got to do the beast move of picking up Piper and putting her down with her finisher. I don't know what Jade's finisher is called. And Chelsea Green did her usual fantastic job of being the comedic kind of silly heel kind of manager for Piper. Jade ends up getting the victory, but Piper did come out of this looking really good. But this sets us up going forward for Jade versus Nia. Now, if you remember, when Jade came out during the Royal Rumble, she was the one who single-handedly flipped Nia out over the ring. I am heavily looking forward to Jade versus Nia. The little bit of a, I won't call it a rematch from the Royal Rumble, but it is definitely that story coming back, and I'm very excited for Nia versus Jade. I think that's going to be a really good match. Next up was Bianca versus Candice LeRae. That was a very, I shouldn't say very, but it was a pretty quick match. I don't think anybody went into that thinking Candice had any chance of winning, but they did make sure to play into Bianca's like knee injury. She definitely had it targeted a few times by Candice, and then she ended by celebrating while kind of limping. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that this knee injury that she's playing into is going to have some sort of an effect going into future matches in this tournament. Then we got a bloodline segment. So Solo tells Paul Heyman, like, hey, you said you haven't talked to Roman since WrestleMania, right? Paul's like, yeah. Solo's like, well, I talked to him. Roman says, I'm in charge and you are my wise man. That's it. Basically, that was the sum of the segment. Got Paul to kind of buy into it, gave him a hug, and then you see Solo's new henchman standing behind him. And in that moment, you can just tell Solo's lying, dude. Solo is definitely lying, right? Solo is definitely making up that he went and talked to Roman because he confirmed that Paul hasn't spoken to Roman. So there's really no way that Paul could tell if he was lying. I love it. I love it. I love it. And during this backstage segment, you can hear the crowd chanting, we want Roman. Roman's return is going to be so damn good. I am so excited for that. This takes us into the next match, which was Tama Tonga taking on Angelo Dawkins. So it turns out Angelo Dawkins was actually only getting this match because Bobby Lashley got injured, but it really didn't matter for the outcome of the match. First of all, the Bloodline comes out to a sick entrance. I know the sign said Tama Tonga, but it felt like a new fiery Bloodline entrance. This looked fierce. These guys came out looking like the most well put together mafia that was ready to drop anyone who got in their way. I love this super heel, reckless and fierce version of like Bloodline 2.0. And it looked good walking out. By the way, if you watch, you can see Heyman standing in the background looking continuously uncomfortable, like he doesn't really feel comfortable with this new setup. It's a nice touch. The match is going pretty normal. Tama Tonga's looking pretty fierce. But when Solo jumps up on the ropes and kind of tries to distract a little bit, Angelo Dawkins punches Solo. And to make it worse, Montez Ford then attacks Solo and Tongaloa. He celebrates a little bit. Angelo Dawkins then turns that into a sick near finish against Tama Tonga. But you knew in that moment when they did that, they were going to regret it pretty quickly, because immediately Bloodline gets up, destroys Montez Ford, and then puts Angelo Dawkins down for the count. So as expected, Tama Tonga is going to advance in the tournament. Street Profits got to look decent, but the Bloodline is cooking. Our main event tonight ended up being Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. And I don't know if you caught this, but I think France may have rubbed off on American crowds just a little bit. There is a part in it where Randy's kind of listening to the crowd a little bit, and you can hear the crowd actually singing every bit of Randy Orton's theme. Not nearly as loud, but they were trying to actually sing every lyric. So if there's one extra thing we got from having a backlash in Lyon, France, it seems to have motivated the Western crowds into upping their game a little bit. But with that, we got a pretty good match between the two of them. It went outside the ring for a pretty decent portion of it. If you haven't noticed lately, it seems like the WWE has been protecting AJ Styles' phenomenal forearm. Every time he tries to get it off, it's always interrupted. It never gets kicked out of. He never gets it off. This is true looking at recent LA Knight matches, the Cody Rhodes match, and now this one. But this time they let AJ get off the phenomenal forearm. So immediately in this moment, I'm thinking, oh my God, here we go. AJ's actually going to win this. Nope. Randy was just close enough to the ropes that he was able to grab a rope or a rope break. So technically still, he didn't kick out of the forearm, but he was close enough to grab the rope. Randy gets up, RKO, Randy advances. I won't go through the whole thing right now, but I'm telling you, this King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournament is setting up for some banger matches in round 2. I am really excited about it. I hope you're really excited about it. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit like on it. Please make sure you subscribe so we can keep talking about wrestling together. Thank you so much to my patrons that are going on the screen. And as promised, Max, here's your treat. You did this, and he's happy.